Hello, folks, to a quick one today. This is the developer sync in April 2026. And at the Flatcar developer sync, we just look through issues, we check new contributions, and we do the release planning. Flatcar is a CNCF project we're incubating, and as such, we adhere to the CNCF Code of Conduct, which means please be nice to each other and treat others as you want to be treated. If you want to say something and someone just doesn't stop talking, like me right now, please use the raise hand feature, and we'll make sure that you get the mic. All right, we have no new faces today. It's just the maintainer team. A few aren't present today. It's the spring vacation season, and people make use of that, and that's cool. So I want to share the agenda to get started, and then we get this meeting going. Start screen sharing. Here we go. All right. Just check these boxes, which I should have done earlier. So I did all that. Okay, folks, we did welcome. And let's do the monthly metrics report, the monthly contribution report. So we have a GitHub action automation that creates a metrics issue on the 22nd of every month. And that's the one for basically the last 30 days. And so we're looking at the contributions, and we have 12 contributors, and 25% are first-time contributors. And those are, sorry, Manuel, who did a contribution to the Flatcar docs, and they added the link to Sysdig integration for Flatcar, which was missing from the docs. And then, and I find this ironic, Lexi, who's missing the meeting today, and her first contribution was as a reviewer and collaborator for resorting the Flatcar docs leaf pages because weights needed to be changed, and she helped merging that. And I say it's ironic because usually Lexi runs this meeting, and nice to see her contributing as well. She's way on the path to maintainer, I think, and we're actually gonna put her on vote for full maintainership soonish. And then we have Z Coppert, which is a colleague. He's working for GitHub, and he runs community stuff at GitHub. And he updated the GitHub action that creates this very issue that we're looking at, which I'm using for generating, sorry, not this issue we're looking at, but this issue we're looking at. So basically the GitHub action, the automation that I'm using for collecting all of these community stats moved from one org to the other. It's now in the GitHub community org, and Zach was nice enough to update our GitHub actions. All right.
I actually merged a couple of contributions today, but I guess I'll show up next time.
Correct, yes. So this ends on the 21st. So that was just before the deadline. But don't worry, we're going to look at the same thing in May, and it'll all be in there. Nice. Thanks, folks, for your contributions. Good stuff. Right. And then we're going to look through some of the tabs in our project board. If you want to browse our project board, you just go to the Flatcar GitHub org, not any particular project. And then you find project boards here. And you find this one here. And there's a private one, which you probably won't see. And that's our project board. And the first thing we look at is composable operating system. basically also Sysdig stuff. There isn't much in progress here because we're focusing on other things, but we just operationalized confex in alpha, which is going beta with the ongoing release. So we love to get your feedback on confex. And then we have Secure Boot, Trusted Boot. Saya?
Yeah, nothing much on that end, other than like this was primarily from the Azure migration that we did, that we had to move our signing cert to the new subscription.
That makes sense. Cool. Let's move on to the CNCF coordination project. Jan.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so we are actually nearing the end of the graduation criteria. Most of the tasks there are either closed or close to being closed. That means we will be now moving to the due diligence documentation as well as the general technical and security overviews. So one of the things we'll be doing is on Friday, we'll have a meeting with Dylan from CNCF. We'll ask a few questions and basically just ask about the specifics of these documents we have to either fill out or update. Most of that was left to be the last documents we touched, mainly due to the fact that some things, like for example, the infrastructure, were being worked on previously. So now that this is nearing the end and we know how our infra, for example, is looking, now we can actually write it down without having the worry of, it changing like the next month. So yeah, a lot of progress, and I guess we're entering the next stage soon.
Nice, good stuff. I just noticed this issue.
Some of these issues are like overarching ethic issues, and that's just why they show up.
But did we go through the onboarding checklist?
This is like a request that's kind of hanging in the Jira requests on their CNCF service desk. So we're waiting for them to.
Since August 2025. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool.
However, these are not like very serious issues. So everything that is like important essentially is either done or going to be worked on next.
Very good. Very good. Good to know. Thank you. Yeah, Flatcar infrastructure, that would normally be Mathieu. He's out on vacation today.
I may be able to fill in
oh, yes, please.
for him. Yeah. So we have a Kubernetes cluster deployed on Akamai with 3 control plane and 3 worker nodes. We have configured Cilium, Gateway API, Cert Manager. We have an authentication provider running on it, which is DEX, that would centrally manage access to all applications running on our cluster. Besides that, there are some GitHub workflows put in place to ease up or automate the review process, the pull request review processes, and the deployment processes, and it would be mainly it. That would be mainly it. There are still quite a few steps that will have to be taken, like migrating domain names to Flatcar. Our Nebraska address to flatcar.org, and also to centralize the domain management. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Nice, good stuff. Jan.
So I actually get a question about Dex. I've never heard of it, but to my understanding, it says it sits in front of LDAP, SAML, GitHub, and Google, and more identity providers. So is it like at the level of SSO providers, or more like Duo or Microsoft Authenticator app, or like is there anywhere else where we could use it for authentication?
Yeah, it can be configured for many different identity providers. So this acts just as a broker in between the identity providers, and you can use I guess all of them. It's a pretty much widely used authentication solution.
Okay. So for example, let's say we would like to use 1Password, but we would like to have GitHub being our source of truth for identities. And let's say 1Password does not support GitHub SSO. We could use Dex to like it be the source of truth for 1Password, and then Dex talks to GitHub.
That's an external application that we would need to route to and configure. I mean, it might not be that easy as if you would need to configure this with the application, our own applications on the clusters that we host. Maybe we can take a quick look at it, but I don't think that 1Password would support such a scenario or such a use case.
Okay. So I guess we can talk about it later. Tila, sorry.
Oh, it's fine. The main, I think, use case for Dex is it comes with its own kind of access and rights management, which is, built into the security side of Kubernetes. And in order to use like external backends and providers like GitHub, that needs to be translated into the way Kubernetes manages security. So if you want to give access for certain parties that I authenticate through GitHub to make certain changes into your Kubernetes cluster, but prevent certain other changes, then Dex basically does that kind of translation.
Okay.
So I think in that scenario, 1Pass would more like be another backend or kind of a like enrichment on the side because you store secrets there. I'm not sure if Dex is like the best solution for that.
Jan wants to set up SSO for 1Pass, right? Am I getting
more or less like because usually when you have a setup in an organization, you have some kind of a Active Directory or LDAP, right? Where you essentially keep all the identities. For us, we would like it to be GitHub as far as I understand right now. However, not everything supports SSO with GitHub. Like for example, 1Password doesn't do that, and a few other services. So I'm just like wondering if, given that they do support a generic OpenID SSO, as they say, which we can later configure, we could use that to connect to GitHub. Sorry, there's like noise in the background. Sam?
Yeah, I don't think 1Password supports that kind of login. I think it supports the general Google-based logins, and I don't think it supports. Usually, LDAP could be a solution, but I don't think it supports LDAP. Yeah, I tried it a couple of years back. It was not there then. I'm not sure if they have introduced it.
Troy?
I found that when you do use GitHub to log into things, that it's usually little more than just a means of authenticating, and beyond that, it is essentially still a local account to whatever service you're logging into, and there's no bi-directional or ongoing update from GitHub to influence how that account might work. It's not much different from just registering account locally. Maybe it's different in some cases, but that's always the impression I've got.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, one thing that I'm trying to think about is in the future and like long term, how would we like to manage our identities essentially, right? As everything grows and we have more complex things to access. Uh, GitHub would be the easiest one because then you can you directly know who is the maintainer and whose account that is. But I really don't think that they do plan to like support it. It's more like you have some other service like LDAP that later, like for example, creates your GitHub account, right? If you're a company. So I don't know, maybe in the future we could have our own LDAP server or something like that. Okay, thanks.
Good discussion and good input. It's all right. And Irvin again, Nebraska status.
All right. Yeah. So as part of the infra work, my biggest effort was basically to also migrating our staging environment to the new infrastructure, which is partially done. As part of this effort, I have filed a PR yesterday, which allows us to add custom or self-issued TLS certificates to Nebraska, to the application, so that in staging or testing environments, you don't need to use publicly managed paid certificates. You can go with your own, and you can easily use those in testing environments. So that's just a PR that we merged and want to create a new staging release for testing on the new infra. That's mainly what has been going on with Nebraska in the past weeks. Besides those, some regular package updates happened as well.
Nice, thank you. All right. Taking a brief look at the line work. Sayan, you want to take over?
Yeah, so right now, I mean, we are in process of doing a release. So we have a major stable going out. So a lot of the features will get introduced to that, and the next set of items are getting worked on. But just to update on the release, wanted to mention that Dongson is handling the payload, and he told he is looking into how with no origin server how the package upload works. So that is something he's looking into. And the other thing that I was stuck, I was out for some time, but I was looking into the issue where our container release jobs are failing because of some base 64 error. So I'm planning to debug through it. I mean, I try to do it locally, where it tries to get the our own config files, but it is the only place I know that it tries to use base64 decode, but it seems to work in my local machine, but I need to check why it's failing on the Jenkins. But yeah, that's mostly from the releases side. Yeah.
Cool.
And maybe like since we are rethinking the releases a bit, I think we can also update the tactical board a bit and move over to working with milestones, so that we exactly know like what are the things getting worked on, and asking for. And as I mentioned, like it gets easier for people to track the releases, as in like if something is blocking the release, or when I'm starting the builds, how the release would look like,
Yeah.
or how much delay we need to do, or something on those lines. But yeah, so if we can reframe this thing into a milestone, which we did for January, and yeah, if we could try to re-implement this one, because this one usually has a lot of things ongoing. So, but
Mm.
with milestone, we would have a very focused description of what's happening.
I agree. The challenge with, so I know what you mean with milestones in general. I think the challenge with milestones as they're implemented in GitHub is they are per repository. So
Yes.
you would have either milestone tracking in both the script repo as well as all of the related repos like Mantle and Boot Engine and all of the bits and pieces that we have. And there isn't a good way to bubble them up into a dashboard like that. But I'm glad you're mentioning it, because I've been looking into something slightly similar. It is a tiny bit more manual, but not much. And that would actually be a good segue into like a small demo of that, if you folks are okay with that.
Sure.
Cool. All right. So I was looking at the releases dashboard that we have here and the planning that we do here, which I think is a good start, right? And kind of the view that I wanted to have on this is, can I project more than 3 or 4 releases at the same time? And can I have them kind of on a timeline, so I get even only a theoretical like 1-year plan or something, so people see that there will be monthly releases, even though we're not sure about like the exact point in time. So I started playing with and that dashboard's right here. I started playing with the I think it's even called milestone view, is it? 1 second here. Roadmap. It's the roadmap view. So that's kind of a new view where you can group issues, and the way that looks like is you can group all of these things by custom fields. And we already have a field for that, and it's used in the releases tab, and it's called, it was called release status, but since it always captured the date, I just renamed it to release date. So this is broken down by release date, right? And so if you take a random issue, like this one, you can give it a release date. And actually, I created all of those in preparation of that meeting. It's always something that I need to show you. Because, let me show that later, actually, because that kind of matters. So I'm going to. I know that Shui is looking into the GCP OEM right now, so I'm gonna commit him to the June release. And now with that release date relation, I'm joking. No worries. Shui just switched his camera on. I'm not.
It's cool. It's cool.
Right? I'm just joking. So if you do that in the issue, then what you'll see is that this release should reflect that issue, and it doesn't. And that's the demo effect. Let me reload everything. Right. Come on. Oh, I think I know why. Because it's not in progress. Maybe I should just remove that filter. It probably doesn't really make sense for that board anyways. Yeah, that was it. Save. Okay. Because now we can plan stuff, right? So this issue was assigned to that custom field with that content. And now we have, for that release, we have this this assignment. You can do that from the issue. And that's something that you could have done before as well, and it will just pop up here in the respective column. Now, what I can do with the new view is I can display this nice timeline, so people would basically see when stuff would happen, right? And I think the visuals are a little better. I can drill down. I see all of the issues and PRs that are assigned to that one. And I still need to do this assignment at the issue level, so I'm not safe from that. I just think the visualization is a little better. For instance, for the April release, you see that we started March 27, where we were originally planning that release, and then we had the infrastructure move. So that went a little longer, and we can kind of track that here. And so I mentioned that I need to create these kind of tags, right? Now, this is a custom field, and a custom field is called release date. And then it's a single select. So you select from an array of options, and you would need to create, say, 2027-01. Let's make up a date 11. Usually that's a Monday. But for demo purposes, I just want to make this up now. And you see those are ordered by date, because they will be ordered in the display as well, so they need to be ordered by date. And then you'll see in the release tracking that nothing happens. And the reason for that is there is no issue assigned to that new January date. So the next thing I want to do, just given that, I don't know, you folks like it well enough to just have me continue poking at that, is I want to create release tracking issues like this one. Right, the regular issues that we're using to track releases, I want to create them for all of the more or less theoretical releases towards the end of the year. So we have a place to go and to capture stuff when we want to assign any specific feature to any release. But my main motivation is actually to give people kind of an entry point when they come into the project, that we provide a reference to this board, when they can basically check and watch, like, when will what be released, what do I need to anticipate for, you know, August or September. And in order to like map that and to manage that expectation, I'm also planning to capture whatever you want to include, like when is the next major beta promotion, when is the next major stable promotion. And I want to capture that at least our theoretical plans, right? I want to capture that at least until the end of the year, because we kind of release in a Scrum cycle anyways. And if anything slips, that's fine, right? And we're just updating the plan. And I think my main intention is we all have that in our heads. Like, we know how the Flatcar release cycle works, right? I just want to make it explicit and provide kind of a point for people to go to and to check. And then, oh yeah, that's when they plan to have the new LTS out, right? Or that's when the next major stable release comes out. And that will be information that will be in the release tracking issues, which I need to create anyways in order to make the release tags appear here. And so that's the whole plan. Saya.
Yeah, so I'm just focusing. This sounds good. I mean, one question is, so the first question would be, you opened up that next promotion thing, the tag that we usually add it now to the column. That if you open up maybe 13th April one or the 11th May one.
Sorry, come again.
If you can open the 13th April one or the 11th May one where I saw.
Of course, yes.
Yeah, so the 30th number, the alpha 4669, I think we can then drop this one and add it to the issue itself. And
exactly.
The issue would be the placeholder.
Thank you. Yeah, that was exactly my plan. And so this is basically what we would have captured in this draft before. And
yes,
capturing that in the issue itself is actually a workaround, and I'm sad that this is the case and that needs to be done, because there's no way to create draft issues on this board. So that's something that we will lose, right? Like here you can do it. You can go to releases and you can click that little, let's say I want to create a draft here, and then I can just, is it the plus? It is the plus, right? Yes.
Yes.
I can just blah blah, and then it would pop up as a draft there. And unfortunately, that how I don't want to really do that. Please go away. Ah, okay. And that feature doesn't really exist for that board, which is sad. But I'm volunteering to create like actual release tracking issues right from the start. So we have those, and yes, I'm gonna calculate the major release numbers and put them all in.
Okay. And the next question is, so suppose I'm going through like this during the DevSync and the community meeting office hours. So we open up the next incoming releases, maybe the major one and the minor one, or speaking of like the monthly release is the major one, and we go through all the issues and how the status looks like, and if something needs to be moved to the next release or not. Is that how that is, I think, one of the way to predict early that if things would need to be moved, and or like we are tracking everything that is getting planned.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, the other question is, how do we if new features come into like if there are
Oh,
new,
I just found something. You can actually add nodes. I'm sorry to interrupt you. You can actually add nodes, but only after a thing is visible. So that doesn't save me anything. Sorry. Please go ahead.
okay, so um what else? Yeah, so what I'm asking is, so right now suppose Chewy is or maybe suppose we have the uh, kernel update or something of that issues, we place it on like the 11th May, for example, and everything is going good, we know those things are getting worked on, but there are issues which probably need focus and probably needs to be placed into it, and then we track it so that we have more issues getting tracked. So how do you plan to add those, or like how do we plan to work on those?
The same way we did before, because we're using the same fields. So from the issue itself, or
But
from
the process is a bit different, because earlier what happened was we had the tactical board, and there we had a backlog, and from there people just picked up items and made it into in progress, and then once it got completed, it came into the release board, and from release board we picked it up to one of the releases,
we
which
could
is usually the one which was the nearest one.
we could still do the same thing.
But I wanted to change that a bit and focus
Mhm.
more on like future planning, where we just plan that what would be going into the release,
Mhm.
so that we can actually know like what are the things that is blocking the release, and we are confident of starting the release on that day.
Yeah. This,
So
this this is what I demoed for the June release with the GCE update, right? So you would do that from the issues here. You
I
can
think I think we are on the same page, but the only question mine is like, how do we tackle the backlog? We still during this meeting we go through the backlogs and says that okay, this is something that needs to be worked on, and basically the how this looks like is we go to the backlog, we look through the issues that needs to be
Mhm.
worked on, and then place it for to a particular release,
Yeah.
and then in the release we just discuss like, okay, these are the issues, are things looking good or not, and then if not, then we move it to the next release cycle.
Yeah.
Okay.
So something we could do is, can I select them all? So from the issue, like from this one, for instance, you would just git work tree handling. So you would just give it a anticipated release date of, well, wherever you want to put it, for instance here, and then it would be where'd my board go? Here. It would be here in that release. So something I want to do is I want to create release tracking issues for all of them. And then I can give those tracking issues start and end dates, kind of like the same I did here for these releases. And that would put the whole section basically on a start and end date on that schedule. And I think that's the main like benefits that I like with this view is you see when this stuff will go out. Jan first, then Sayan.
Sad can go first.
My question is like, how did you get those like timeline markers that this was the planned date to start, and then how things are going? Basically, like the March 27 to April 22nd on the calendar thing.
Okay, so the thing I want to do is, where are we? Here. Flatcar issues. I want to create, and this needs to be done like every 6 months or so when we roll out the new release plan for the future, right? I want to create a new issue. And that will be a new Flatcar release. So the issue template is, there's a PR to the issue template that changes the format a little bit. And has the kind of what I was using here, has the month and the year, so it's easier to read. June 2026. And I'm just gonna, not fill it in right now because I only need the raw issue being created. I'm gonna put this in the tactical project, created, and I wanna put this in the release date here, and that's the June one. I give this a start date, and since this is the 8th, I'm gonna start the builds on Friday, and we usually release on Tuesday or Wednesday, so I can just put start the 6th and then end the 10th, and then that's updated, and then we have it in the release tracking here. And the same for July. So again, new issue, Flatcar release.
I just want to mention that you can do it using the GitHub CLI tool.
Yes.
Automatically.
Yeah, that works too. Okay. I mean, it's actually not that much work. Because that will cover a whole month, right?
Mm.
Okay, create.
I mean, in fact, we could even just create a bot that does it every so often and make sure everything is connected.
Release date is the 13th of July. So we start building on the 10th, and we end the release on the 14th or 15th. And now before I save that, we didn't have this. Yeah.
Das große Brettchen aus der Küche.
Well,
Mist.
and this is how this pops up, right? You even have the opportunity. So this is a merge of all of the timings inside of that issue, and you see here that this has a time and this has a time, right? Because I was still working with drafts here. So you can even give that particular issue a start and an end date, and it will impact the start and end dates of that particular release. For instance, if we're thinking that we'll take until June the 12th to get this done, then this will translate to that, and then suddenly it'll take longer, right? Because that issue needs longer to be finished. So I think it needs a little bit manual work upfront, but I think if we wanted to, we could automate it, and B, it's not that much in terms of manual work. The benefits that I see is I think it's really accessible. Like you go here and it's almost intuitive, and you can browse the planned releases up to a point where we could link that to releases.flatcar.org, like at the top, and say, hey, if you want to know what's coming up later, click here and then dive in there. Yeah.
So in general, I really like it. However, one thing that I'm kind of afraid of is the connecting of the issues to each release is very manual, and also does require a little bit of like judgment, right?
Yes.
Of like to which release is gonna be going, and I feel like if we do that and then like even try to slightly automate that, we're kind of almost reinventing like parts of the like semantic release. I feel like with the changelog and everything. So yeah, I'm just like kind of wondering like if it maybe wouldn't make more sense to like start like also the other way around. Like for example, I'm not sure what I'm trying to say, but like right now, for example, we do not have anything that goes from a merged PR to closing an issue to then storing that information somewhere and then making sure it's released. Right now, we do it semi-manually with the changelog files, for example.
Yeah.
And I'm just like wondering maybe if we like shouldn't touch that as well to make this easier.
I would definitely see it as a follow-up item. The thing, you're absolutely right with the manual association. That's something that we already do, right? Like none of the manual association work is new. We're doing it right now. To track, to kind of close items and to loosely associate them to releases. Sorry.
Yeah, so we right now also do the manual bits because we drag that in the other column. But the other thing is also that it gives the release manager an idea of what's going into the release, and if there are issues, it's easier to point out. So somewhat a bit of manual is good, but then we could also the other thing is also like even though we have a yearly plan, I think at one point of time we would be looking at 2-3 months only, not even 2-3 months. I think 1-2 months at a given point of time. So you are not really planning a lot in the future, but just like a bit ahead, because we ourselves don't know like what we'll be working on, and things change with Flatcar at a very high pace. So we usually foresee an item like a few months ahead, at least from what things get fixed. So from that perspective.
I can even hide these columns that, either are currently being released or have been released in the past. So I could do this. And then you could call this, sorry. Ready for release. Put it here. Because then it's between tactical and the, I'm gonna call this release planning then. Or maybe annual releases planning. And then we would have the same semantics, right? So here we would just shovel over this, which is probably easier than, or is another way of assigning that to a release for all items that have no release date yet set yet. And that would automatically pop up here, and we would benefit from that same view, right? So how about that?
That one usually makes sense when you are working on like an item which like just came up, you fixed it and it popped up, and you just place it to the next column. And if you go to the ready to release, so we usually create a column and then have one like drag it to the other side. But usually, like what we do is that put from no release date to the first one, and because that's how like everything would get released.
Oh, that makes sense. So
and-
basically, creating a column here, like hitting that plus button, is the very same functionality as adding this here. Like
no, what I'm thinking is like from now on, like we just don't create the plus button. We can have like we create the columns like have a script pre-created and everything, and everything would be ready. I'm just talking like this view usually helps in putting all the items to the next one, but the release planning would help in seeing long term on what would be happening and how things would look, and makes more sense for users and everyone to know like how the time is.
I'm not really convinced that we are, as a project, in a situation when we can look at features and determine, yeah, we're gonna release that in 5-6 months from now. I think it'll mostly be either you directly assign it, or here's the stuff that got done. Let's move it to the current release.
Yeah, but so one of the issues that I usually face is like so we have suppose a release to be starting on Friday, and there are still items getting pushed on, and then we delay. Okay, we'll start it on Monday, and then the release gets pushed on further. So I just want to like have a solution where we say that okay, this is where we break off, and then we are moving on to move this on to the next release, because then it's easier to make the releases a bit more monotonous.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And we would see that here, right? Like you would see all issues that are still open.
Yeah.
And then you could either move them or wait for them. It's kind of like
that's what I'm saying. Like we are, as I told, we are on the same page. I mean, when I open up this view, the release planning view, I see for this particular day, these are the issues that are merged, and these are the issues that are still worked on.
Yes.
And I can just go over to the assignee or whoever is working on and ask like, okay, how this thing looks like, and give them an early heads up and tell them that we would start the build on this date. If not, then we are moving on to the next one. So, and it would be easier to like.
Or we could just go the other way around and just move it straight away. Like if you see by Friday that certain PRs are not merged, that certain issues are not done, you just move it to the next one by default, right? Because I mean, so one of the benefits of this view is that we put it on in all of the release plannings. Like we have it in every office hour and we have it in every dev sync. So people literally have the dates right in front of their faces 2 times a month. So if they want to get something in to a certain release where they know the date, then they need to
Right.
get it in up to that date, right? I mean, this is kind of what we need to communicate.
Right. Yeah, I'm just trying to make the like build starting on Friday a regular practice every
Yes.
2 weeks.
Yes, absolutely. Maybe we should use the Friday date here instead of the Monday date to manage expectations. But at least for the for this section, I did it already, so I have it in here.
Another question I had, like maybe the last one, it's actually a good idea to put this on Friday date. But on this timeline, can we add multiple dates in, like maybe through colors or something that this is the starting point. This is like where, because this is a starting point. This is where we do the release, and then this is where we close the issue. Because sometimes we get stuck on marketplace update, so we close the issue a bit later. Do you know if you can do that?
I'm not sure what we're looking for.
You mean like, I think, like if you click on the arrow and open the group or like release, 26, 5, 11, you can
Mhm.
see the individual issues, and if
Yeah.
they had dates, then you would see like each one of these on the timeline. Is that what you mean, Sam?
Uh, so what I mean is, like right now, like we have suppose May 8th and May 13th. So May 8th is the day we are starting the bid. May 13th is the day we are doing the release. But the release date is usually not the date when we are closing the issue. For like the release issue is usually a bit later, because sometimes we do get stuck on other issues, which
It
is
doesn't-
usually marketplace publishing. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to track those as well, like how many times, but just to standard like see
So
like how the whole thing look like. But I
so
think we can totally move this date of a Monday release, Monday to a release Friday thing.
so this is still a draft thing. I want to use the real thing actually as an example because this is what we're gonna do in the future. But so this release tracking issue has dates. It has a build start date and it has a release is published date. And I'm not sure how I can make this any clearer.
No, I just okay. I'll look into it. So I just wanted
But
to add another date.
it's not a like I'm not trying to push this through. I'm just trying to understand what we're like. What's the feature that we're looking for? Do we want to auto identify issues that will take
No, so
longer?
this
Because I don't think that's possible.
no, this is how to say this, but I'm just trying to so have 3 dates: release, bill start, release published, and release issue closed date. The closed date is primarily to track like when the releases issues get closed, so
Do
that
we
we know like
really need to track that? I mean, the issue will have a close date, right? When it's closed, but the release is published earlier, as you said. So this is the plan, right? This is what we're planning. If the plan changes, we should touch these dates. Like if suddenly it slips for a week, then we need to, update these dates, right? But
yeah, I mean these are definitely good ones to have. These are the ones to have. The next one that I'm asking is for a different thing, but it's like it's not really for tracking the issues. It's just to see how many times we actually end up getting issues with marketplace updates. Because only like
oh,
suppose
that's oh, I get it. That's kind of different. I think that should be tracked in the release issues itself.
hmm.
But yeah,
Because I'm seeing a timeline here, so it's usually good to manage the whole cycle. But yeah, that is just me thinking like thinking on how many times, because in between we were almost facing issues with every issue, like every release a marketplace issue was coming. But yeah, that's a good to have thing and can be tackled later. I think I have a plan on how to, like from next meeting, how to tackle this board when my turn comes up.
cool. No, let's team up on that. And I mean, if you have a session where you're moving issues before a release starts, let me tap in there as well, so I can maybe smoothen your workflows there a little.
Sure.
Cool. Yeah.
That is enough.
So what you could do, I guess, because you want to capture on the timeline like individual parts of the release, is my understanding, right? So for example, it let's say it says it took us 2 weeks, but I don't know, let's say in reality the second week was essentially just the marketplace releases. Am I understanding that correct? So what we could do is like essentially have uh, sub issues if you want to go into that, and you could have a singular release, which is the whole release cycle, right? And in there you could have like for example the main release, then the release on the individual marketplaces, for example, and then you would be able to see that actually everything like was, I don't know, just a week, and then the marketplace releases were the other second half, but the overarching release would still be 2 weeks, right? So it would still kind of be good for our KPI because it would show that it's still taking a long time. It's just that then you will be able to see what is the the reason for that, right? And that reason would be the marketplace release, for example. Like, what do you think about that, Sam?
That's a good thing actually. Like if only what Thilo is doing right now, like creating the sub issue. I think this makes sense because only when we have a slip we can actually see something of those things.
Yeah, because then it's just gonna be like a subset, right, of that timelines,
Yeah,
whatever. And actually, that would be, I mean, technically, you could even make all of these sections of that release a sub issue, which would be hell to do manually. But if you automate it, it would be easy to do.
Just need to stop you. Did you see the effect of that?
yes.
Is that what you're looking for?
Yes, sort of. But yeah, I mean the similar thing. It went from 13 to 19.
Correct. So we have captured that the release was longer, and if you unfold it, you will see why it was longer.
Yeah, I think this does the job.
Nice.
I mean, from this, I can see that like the 13th April and the 8th June was longer, and then at the end of the year, sometime when we are doing actually retro, we can know like where
And
we actually
since this is a sub issue, I think when you close the parent issue, the sub issue still exists. So you could even close the main release issue and have the marketplace sub issue continuing.
Okay.
Good point.
Is it the same length? Because it kind of looks like it's not.
No, it's not. It's way longer.
No. I mean, like if you open it,
yeah,
it looks like the publishing on the marketplace is like separate to the right, or is it just like a visual artifact?
It's no, because that only has a stop date. So, and it needs to have a minimum width, right? Like if I do, oh no, that I won't do. If I do, I don't know, this, then that should kind of disappear.
Yeah, perfect now.
Yeah, now it works.
I really like it. Oh,
nice.
And would it make sense to sort it in a descending order so that we can see the next?
No, it wouldn't really, because you want to see the oldest releases.
The timeline would break.
And otherwise, you would see 7 or 8 empty releases, because I'm planning to do that until the end of 2026. And I always want to have like a 6-month ahead planning with these. So I'm going to keep them up to date. And in autumn, I'll add like the first 6 months of 2027 and all of that. And so you'll always look at 6 or 7 empty releases if we did it the other way around.
So we'll be hiding the old ones, or?
Correct. Yes, these get.
Yeah.
So eventually you can archive it.
No, it makes sense. I was just like worried that in a year we're gonna be scrolling.
No. Good point. No, actually we archived the old ones through the ready for release earlier as well. So that's
okay.
Cool.
Okay, cool stuff. I like it.
Nice. Thank you. All right. That was my short demo. Open mic time. Anything folks want to bubble up for the DevSync? Your favorite issue that needs to be fixed?
So I guess for me would be the Safe Settings app PR. I know some of you guys took a look at it. If the rest of you could as well, Daniel and Cyan, it's basically just a matter of making sure all the exceptions are taken into account before we apply it, because then it can break something, right? And that's kind of the main point.
Makes sense. Cool.
Okay.
All right. Let's get Cyan to dinner, as he mentioned in the chat. Man, you need some food. You earned it hard. Like this release was challenging. Thanks everybody for helping to push it out.
Thank you.
All right. Take care, folks. See you in the May office hours. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.